What can we even say about Street Fighter 1? After going through it and experiencing the 2016 version of SF1 all over again, and being like, yeah, we understand how to play it a bit more, but it doesn't help too much.
God, you're in a fucking fireball! God!
It's slightly more functional, but not in the way that you would kind of hope. Let's talk about the biggest issue that plagues Street Fighter 1 that would be solved in later Street Fighter games: the controls. Moving around in this game feels like hot trash. And even when you are asking for a precise input, whether it's like forward walking, back walking, anything like that, for some reason, your character just moves at like half the speed of some other characters. And that's the way they seem to add significant challenge, is we'll just make the roster that you fight against way quicker than you. Oh God, what the heck did this dude just like FADC? Holy shit. That's the worst part. The worst part is you press an attack button, and I thought I was being a little like melodramatic in the 2016 playthrough, but oh my God, dude, this is accurate. Like, sometimes you will press a punch button and you will get a kick. Sometimes I'm mashing on sweep and I get a punch. Specials are not random in this game. There is inputs for them. They are traditional down, forward, fireball. There's the Shoryu input and the Tatsu input. But if you want to get the input to even come out, you have to do, as we explained earlier, something called negative edge. So, light, God, good God. Okay, so the funny thing about the game is that there is a way to get special moves. So pressing the button and releasing the button counts as an input. So what you do is you hold down a punch, do fireball, let go of punch, and you get a fireball. So I'm gonna do a DP here. Look at that, fireball. And they just come out, right? The problem with that is you still have to have a ridiculous amount of precision when the button is released. So even if you're like, I just want to throw a fireball, sometimes that forward motion will translate to a walk forward. And if you don't get the perfect timing on the forward plus attack or let go of the attack, you're getting your special moves even knowing how they work, like 50% of the time, a third of the time. The toughest one was definitely Dragon Punch. Did this dude just touch of death my ass? But you had to specifically end on the down forward with the punch at the same time. Character-wise, obviously you play as just Ryu. And this version of Ryu has, funny enough, been referenced in a lot of other fighting games that are Capcom related. Here's what's funny about the overall art and design of Street Fighter 1. The in-game visuals are bad. Like, they're legit awful. However, the character designs, and I've seen some of the really old, like, black and white images from art books of yore that go over all the Street Fighter games, and oh my God, dude, some of the character designs are ridiculously cool looking. Like the epitome of like late 80s looking like anime style. It is absolutely awesome to look at how these things sort of stand up in terms of character design even nowadays. So the character art overall is really great for Street Fighter 1, but I don't feel like that style translates super well. You get some really funky looking things like Sagat's legs. Yeah, the Sagat's proportions are pretty great. He's all upper leg. No calves. All upper leg. It's just a way of training, you know? The other thing that I have a personal gripe with is that the overall arcade experience in Street Fighter 1 is brutal, right? We're talking about overall difficulty and the ease in. Street Fighter 1 is the epitome of classic arcade fighting games just taking your money. And they want to take your money past a certain point. It really kicked in, obviously, on a couple of fights that we were playing where it's like, we just need more quarters. Where's the quarters? We need more quarters. This will definitely be a thing to mention in several of these games that are Street Fighter related, because this is a big aspect of classic fighting games. And classic fighting games are kind of pay to win. Most arcade games are kind of pay to win. A lot of people don't like to admit that many of the practices that are present in like mobile gaming of the past is almost identical to what was going on in arcades back in the day. and SNK, classic Capcom games, beat 'em ups. These games would essentially let you get a couple of levels, feel out the game a little bit, and then it drops hard. Cheesy bitch! Cheesy bitch! It's funny, even in the mid 80s, right? Before Street Fighter 2 really takes off, you see it. I think one of the weakest parts of the game is the music. The appropriate description of most of the tracks in this game being penis music, I think, is a great descriptor. Someone just described this as penis music. Yep. This is penis music, all right. But there were other Capcom games around this time frame. I believe Mega Man was out, or if not, very close to being out. So it wasn't like Capcom's audio department was really lacking. No, Capcom had some great audio around this time frame. Yeah, Mega Man was the same year, and Mega Man's got some bangers, dude. I don't think the sound of this really gets anywhere close to what the sound is in future Street Fighter games, which is a massive staple for the series.
Why is the sound of the music?
However, we got to give Street Fighter 1 credit. The game was innovative as shit. Most things were like, if they were two-player, you were taking turns. So this was relatively like revolutionary. Yeah, Karate Champ, stuff like that. A game could control the way this does with the level of fluidity that it did. Mind you, it also had one of the most ridiculous control schemes ever. It's got like a giant red button and a giant blue button, and it was pressure sensitive. So people would have to, boom, like mash into the control panel to get punches or kicks, and the harder you would destroy that button, they would give you the heavier attack. That ends up being a thing that, oh, we have to change this because all of the, you know, from what I understand, the machine panels were dying because people were just busting the hell out of these arcade machines. Granted, pressure-sensitive buttons, kind of an interesting take, something you wouldn't see come back until maybe a bit later with like maybe triggers and stuff like that in much later video game eras. So a fascinating control scheme. What you also see in Street Fighter 1, to give the game some credit, is the bones of Street Fighter 2. The proper arcade ladder, the World Warriors sort of like map, where you are visiting location to location to location, going across the world, getting characters that represent that place of the Earth. Funny enough, I feel like this version is a little less like stereotypy slash tropey than Street Fighters would be later on. It's weird. I mean, granted, you still go into like certain places and see certain characters, but running into like Eagle in England and stuff like that, it didn't really feel like it was as stereotypical as some of the stuff you would run into in like Street Fighter 2. And there's also the great stuff like presentation-wise, when you run into a character, you get like their face, their versus screen. You get the character has intros. They walk in and do something dumb. And when you fight and beat somebody, you see them proper beat up, right? You see your victory screen is their asses kicked as you move on to the next fight. This feels so far and so away from what Street Fighter would eventually be. But funny enough, if you look at the roster and you look at the presentation of the game, it has a lot there. It doesn't feel like Street Fighter 2, which is where that would eventually gather the, you know, hearts and minds of everyone across the world and become an absolute megalo genre that would be dominating the market to this day. But you get like the bones and you understand where they made improvements. Look at these footsies, dude. Everybody knew of Street Fighter 2 all over the world. And that's because Street Fighter 1 was the crawling so that Street Fighter 2 could run. No! Double KO? Excuse me? Oh, dick punch Thank God that's over. Joe dead. Mike dead. Retsu also dead. Geki deceased. Birdie passed away. Eagle in the afterlife. Lee dead AF. Gen old AF. Adon ugly AF. And Sagata bitch! I'm the king of the hill. Resting on my glory is what I plan to do for the rest of my life. No, no, no. I'm just going to stay at the top. I'm just going to stay at the top. I'm not going to accept any challengers.